Well, hey, y'all. Welcome to the When We Walk podcast, where this is a podcast where we talk about the questions we all ask as we walk through life. I'm Shireen.
I'm Micah.
Let's chat.
Okay, so I saw something this morning I want to share with you that I think you're going to be so excited to hear about.
Oh, great.
And I want to get your real reaction. Just this little post on a study that was done on different ways to treat depression and anxiety.
Okay.
So it studied like 12 different things you can do to treat depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And it was medication. Mm-hmm. It was
breathing,
cognitive therapy.
Yeah.
It was yoga. There's all kinds of things. Cycling, walking, running, all of it. Mm-hmm. And do you know what topped the list?
Oh, I can't wait.
Dancing.
Oh!
Dancing.
Yes.
It was by far
Dancing.
and above one of the best ways to treat anxiety and depression.
No.
Yes.
Well, you know what this means.
That's why
You have to take me dancing more.
I debated on whether or not to tell you this. So we're going to a wedding this weekend.
I know.
But I thought
gonna
about that,
be
and I
on
realized
that
some of
dance
the
floor.
funnest moments we've had, even though I don't
You don't like
run to the dance floor.
No.
Once I get out there, I usually have fun.
Yeah.
But think about last summer on sabbatical, our nephew's wedding.
Oh, it was so much fun.
It was so much.
We were on the dance floor the whole
highlight
time.
of our whole sabbatical. Our kids were out there. My 81-year-old mom was out there.
We were having a good old time.
It was such a good time.
It's so fun.
So, yeah, dancing.
Dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my
We need
gosh.
more
I am
dancing in our
going to
lives.
remind you of this all the time now.
I know. I figured you would. I thought you would like that.
Dancing is my favorite.
It is.
But here's the funny part of this. Now I'm going to totally out you. Is I thought you liked it because one of our first times together, when we first started dating, we went to a friend's wedding.
Yes.
And you were the one pulling me out on the dance floor. And I was like, yes. And I love to dance. I love to dance. I thought you did. And we had so much fun that night. Mm-hmm. And then turns out I don't run to the dance floor. Really run to the dance floor.
But once I get out there, I do enjoy it.
Once I drag you out there, you usually have a good time. Mm-hmm. Because you have to just not care. No one cares.
Yeah.
We're all out there just looking a fool and having a good time.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
And that's why it is good for our mental health.
It is.
Wow. This is good news.
Yep. There you go.
Good news.
Yep. Good news for you. And us. And us.
Yeah,
it's true.
And maybe everyone listening. You all should go dancing more, turns out.
That's good. Yeah.
Not what we're going to talk about.
No, huh? You found something on the internet.
I did find something on the internet that I thought was fascinating. I read an article about the fact that we are losing dining rooms. Dining rooms are becoming a dying piece of architecture in homes and apartments.
Interesting.
So the dining room table is becoming less and less of a thing.
Okay, question first. Did you grow up? You grew up with a dining room.
I did, an official dining room.
How often did y'all eat in there?
We only ate in there on special occasions. Mm-hmm. We ate at our kitchen table, which was in our kitchen.
Yep. I grew up with a dining room, and also had like you. We had the table and the kitchen table. Then we had the dining room. I think we only went there, maybe almost never.
But it's funny because now when we go back to your parents,
had a nice dining room table and all that in there, but we never.
All we ever do is eat in there because it's the bigger space.
That's
I know,
true.
but it's not the everyday.
Well, that wasn't the dining room when I was growing up.
I know.
They've changed things. Yes, but you're right. Yeah, and that's where we eat now as a big family. But
there is the fact that this is changing in architecture. So I read this whole article about the fact that this is changing kind of in now design and architectural world.
Yeah.
Is a sign of what's happening in society, of the fact that we are eating, more people are eating alone. More people are eating in front of TVs, in their bedrooms.
So architects are trying to design around our lifestyle.
Yes. So
and where
conserving
to put the money
space.
And where to,
Yes. So in a single family home in more of a suburban setting, the way this is showing up is in more open concept, which we've seen over time, right? This open concept of the kitchen is now the hub of the home, which before it was not. Usually kitchens were very small. We have an older home and our kitchen is tiny,
Yes.
but our living spaces are bigger. And now there's a move more towards kitchens are bigger. That's more where people are gathering. We're building big islands with lots of seating around the islands, actually.
Yeah.
And then more living space. And then somewhere in there might be a space to put a kitchen table or a dining table that it flows in the open concept, right?
Yeah.
It's not its own designated space the way it used to be. So like in our home, which was built in the 1920s.
1924.
Yep. It's
100 years old.
It's not open concept, which I just going to say it. I don't like open concept. I like nice closed
like
rooms.
it?
I like things separated.
Compartmentalized.
Yeah, I can keep my mess in the kitchen. We can go sit in the dining room and it's nice.
Yeah.
We have a dining room. We have a living room. We have like even an extra room that was built on later, but our kitchen is tiny and small and closed off.
Doesn't have in-kitchen seating.
Doesn't have any in-kitchen
So when we're
seating.
cooking and we have people over, because we never have the food ready.
No,
before
we're
they
all
show up, we
tight
just
hanging
stand
out.
around and everyone kind of dances around the kitchen to get to the fridge. And
Which you get used to it and it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep.
I mean, listen, most people in the rest of the world live in smaller homes
true.
than we do. So,
we can survive.
so in suburban settings, it's moving that way, open concept. In more urban settings, they're getting rid of dining spaces and places to put tables altogether.
Oh, meaning like in apartments? Okay.
Apartments and condos and things like that. There might be a small area you could put maybe a bistro table or something, but for the most part, they'll build a kitchen with maybe a space to sit at a bar stools and sit at a bar. Or if not, most people sit in front of their TV. And so they just make the living space bigger so people can sit around. Or like studio apartments would be most people sit in their bed and watch TV and eat. And so the whole idea of what he was getting at is we are becoming a very lonely culture. We don't entertain and we don't commune in the same way we used to.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't know why he didn't. This article's editorial didn't really get into the whys.
No.
But
he was just connecting these dots that I
I
thought were
think the
interesting.
saddest part to me, one, I love entertaining people. I love having people to our house. I think that buying our dining room table was like a big deal to me.
Yeah. You're fired up about that.
I wanted a really nice dining room table with lots of leaves that it could extend so big. And we can fit like...
Yeah, we can get, I
don't know how many, like maybe 12.
We've done
more
did
than that.
14 with that one life group several years back, all those couples.
And it like fills my cup when we can fit that many people around a table and eat a meal together. So to me, what this article was getting at is like, we have lost this connection in as community and eating meals together. And this is more of an American thing, not necessarily what's happening all over the world. But for me, especially coming from a family where gathering around food was a thing.
Yeah.
And I think Southern culture, which you grew up in, that's the same thing. And then I think just Christian culture, that's important.
Yeah.
Like the table is actually very symbolic, even in scripture.
Yeah.
Like gathering Jesus, every time we see Jesus hanging out with people, he's hanging out around a table at a meal for
That's
the
true.
most part. And so this article really made me sad.
Kind of caught your attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that. So one of the newer phrases we've been saying around here is don't eat alone as a church.
Yeah.
Don't eat alone, because it is a great place to invite people. Your meal time and your meal space is a great place to invite people into, because great things happen around a table. There's been evidence on studies that have been done that families that eat together, and I don't remember all the
There's
details,
a certain
but
amount of
X number
time.
of times a week, if you have dinner together, your kids are more likely to experience, and it's all positive things. I don't remember.
Yeah, there's so many things.
But yeah, positive benefits from the family dinner table on a regular basis. I think when you think of singles, that's really interesting about the apartment concept, because it's typically going to be singles or just couples that don't yet have kids, often living in these smaller apartments. And maybe they gather at a bar or at a restaurant
Yeah, probably.
or at a concert. But there's something about having people in
your
home and feeling like you have a space to invite people into, and also being able to go into other people's spaces. There's a relationship building that happens, I think
it's pretty
differently
intimate
around someone's personal table than around the restaurant patio or
for sure. It's a very intimate thing to invite someone into your home. I think you find out so much about a person by going into their home. Like, do they like dogs? Which we have too. You know, what are they into? What kind of food do they like? Like, you know, do you play games afterwards? I mean, I always think we have a friend who invites our family over to dinner, Dave, and we just, you learn a lot about Dave when you go to his house. You see his personality on display in his home. And you start looking at all the things, and you look at someone's picture and go, oh my gosh, tell me about that family picture right there. Who is that? And what are y'all doing? And you really get to know people by being in their home.
So true.
And I think Jesus knew this. I mean, I don't know that they had restaurants back then. I don't know what that was like, but you go into someone's home and there is a connection made just by the fact that you are in their home with them. And I think that is a really important piece for us as believers to not lose. So in a culture that's moving away from this, whether it's by choice or just because of the way the movement of culture, I think this needs to be something as believers we recover and hold on to.
Yeah, that's true.
The table, we've got to keep the table.
Important. It's like, I just had this comparison run through my head, so we'll try it out. But like in the digital space, getting to know somebody, getting to really know somebody isn't looking at their Instagram page, for instance. It would be looking at, like, if you really want to get to know them, it'd be looking at their search history. Right?
Ooh.
Like that's how you,
I've never looked at someone's
I know, and that's what I'm saying, but like that's how you, if you really want to know who someone is, look at their search history. Like,
like what have they looked? These are the things
they're interested in. These are the things they're looking for. These are the things
I
they
have
struggle
heard of people
with.
who say, look at what they like, because you can go back and see like, oh, they liked that post and they commented on that person's post.
All right, so there you go.
Or who they follow. Yeah.
So same is true when it comes to meals together in homes. Is, you know, it's one thing to meet at a restaurant. You'll find out maybe what that person likes, what type of food they like.
Right, based off questions.
But if you go into their home
or something,
you kind of get to really see who they actually are. And it allows you to build a different layer of relationship. And the reality is we all have, you know, we're all eating at least three meals a day here in America, at least, 7 days a week. So there's a lot of opportunity, and it's such a great, the mealtime is such a great equalizer.
It really is.
Because it can bring all different types of people together, age, background, whatever. Like, one thing we all have in common is we have to eat, and B, we like to eat.
Yes.
So it allows you to build a relationship with all types of people.
I think too, the idea of the table, like losing the table, is significant too, because there's something that happens around a table. You're facing one another. You're not like, to even think that they're getting rid of spaces where you would even put a table and you're just sitting at the bar of your kitchen. To me, that says,
eating wings while you watch
exactly, like
game.
You're facing TV, you're not even connecting with one another, or you're at the bar at a kitchen. Like and historically we've called that the breakfast bar. Like that's just a quick meal, like get up, eat, get moving, because the idea is we're always on the go. So just eat your quick meal, standing up at the bar, at the counter, or wherever, and move along. Instead, the table says, no, we're gonna sit here. We're going to face one another. We're going to pass food around. We're going to talk to each other. I think about how much imagery that, God is preparing a place for us. He's preparing a feast for us. There's table being set. Like, all of this imagery of that is what is going to happen one day when we are with Jesus. Like, there's going to be a feast. There's going to be a celebration. We're going to be at a table with people celebrating, eating, and I envision like that takes time, right? Jesus is taking time to prepare a place for us, to prepare a home, prepare a table. It takes effort. It takes thought. And so for the art of, I'm setting the table, like we've taught our kids, they have to set the table, right? And they get so annoyed by that.
Yeah.
And we've even gone to like cloth napkins, which most of that was just to conserve the fact that our kids barrel through napkins like crazy.
Yeah.
And we want to somewhat try to save the planet in some ways.
Well,
not all the time.
I mean,
we still use paper plates. It's fine. But like setting the table, taking time to think of others, like you're thinking of others as you do that. You're coming to a place where you have to face one another. At our house, we say no phones, at the table. And you are having to converse as you talk, as you eat. And I don't know, there's so much life.
Yeah.
And I think it may not be overtly talked about in Scripture, but Jesus lived it so clearly.
He did.
That I think it is a very much a value that we should hold as believers.
So let me just throw a curveball at you. What do you say to the person who would say, you know what, my whole life is kind of being around people. My home is my sanctuary.
Oh, I have a hard time with that.
It's just me. It's my spot. And whether it's the single person who's like, this is my little hideaway where I can kind of, just be me. Or if it's even if someone who maybe has a family, but they say, this is who I do home life with, but I just don't do home life with other people. I spend my life serving in other ways.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts to that perspective that like the home isn't really a place to invite people in and entertain? It's a place for me in my sanctuary.
I think that, first of all, I understand that way of thinking. I think we all go through that of like, I just want to hole up in my house and not have to talk to anyone, right? But I think, everything we own is the Lord's. Everything that is ours is His. And I think we have to come before Him, and He can use anything we have if we're following Him. And to me, that means our home, our money, it's all our possessions. It's not just, I'm going to give money away, or I'm going to give my time over here. I think we have to hold everything open to the Lord.
Yeah.
I do think there are people who are a little bit more gifted in hospitality and have a call. Yeah. So I think, you can't compare those two. That's to me different. Someone who's very much called and gifted in hospitality versus I think we are all called to give of our lives and the things we have in certain ways. That doesn't mean you're always going to invite a stranger into your house. Some people feel very called to do that. I think back to the early church isn't that what they called it? Like the Christ room or something where they would leave a room open always.
Yep.
We might have guest bedrooms now, but something similar to that where a traveler was coming through, you'd let them stay in your house and treat them like a family member. And that was just the thinking of the early church. Now we've become more individualized. Some of that is culture. Yeah. So I think the way we need to challenge our thinking a little bit of like, am I saying this is my sanctuary because it's just culturally I've become that way? Or am I really holding this open to the Lord? And this is a season where, we're not opening our home in certain ways. But then I would say it's maybe challenge that a little and say, what ways can I open my home? Maybe it is just to close friends and family first, but then maybe it's to neighbors. And then, think of all the way to people we know who open their home to foster kids and foster families to connect with them in other ways. I think, I think your home can still be a sanctuary and it can still be a place of hospitality. It can be both. I think one thing I would encourage someone in is try it and see. Yeah, that's good.
I think when we open our home up to somebody, we kind of open our heart up to them in a way. And because I think it's human nature, regardless of whether you're extroverted, introverted, super hospitable, or more like microwave dinner type person, regardless of your preferences, the human heart longs to connect with other human beings. And I think sometimes it's kind of like me and the dance floor. Honestly, it is. It's like if you try it, you just might realize what a great benefit it is to you. Like you might really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Start with people that you're going to like.
Yeah.
You don't have to start with a stranger, but find some, like if you're the type who is just always meeting up with people somewhere, or you're always going to everybody else's house, like just try. Yeah,
try opening your home
up and flip the script and invite people over, and it can be on your terms, and your terms might be a bucket of KFC. I don't know. But just do it in a way that is you, and try it and see. And I think at the end of the day, we all love good food and, whatever, a good setting and a good environment. But at the end of the day, I think what comes out of a shared table is connection.
It's connection.
And the human heart
That's what it's about.
Connection. And it's ultimately what what this guy was saying in this article was like, he was kind of posing the question, is our loneliness epidemic as a nation, which is a real thing.
It's real.
Connected to the fact that we've lost the dining room table.
I know.
And I think it's something worth thinking about.
I think so too. I think it's sad to think that if that's the way our culture's going, then this is one way that the church can help be different and help be have a good response to our culture and say, I'm going to invite my neighbors over. I'm going to do community in my home. I'm going to open up my table. I'm not going to get rid of the table. I'm going to value it and maybe start first with your family. If you're a family that's running around with kids going to a million things and you barely have dinners at home, maybe start there first. Like, how are we going to clear our calendar to have dinner at home first? And it can still be takeout and it can still be, easy. Like, we get our kids involved in helping make dinners too, because both of us work. But then maybe the next layer is, okay, now who are we going to invite? The next time we do dinner, maybe once a month at those dinners, we invite someone, and it's a neighbor, it's a friend we haven't gotten to hang out with in a while. This going even back to our conversation about singles, like this is a great way of families. You're having dinner anyway. Invite your single friends over. Many times they are eating alone, and this is a great way to include them and come back to that. The value of a meal at a table. And I think too, like, food just unifies. Eating food, like, we all do it. It's an equalizer.
It is.
And when your stomach's full, you can't get too bothered about things. So you can have all kinds of conversations around at the table because you're eating good food. I don't know. I think there are steps that everyone can take. I think first it starts with what is kind of hindering me. And I've even heard people say, oh, my house is too small, or I don't have, the right space or the right setting or whatever. And I would say can I say it this way? That's not a great excuse. I think that's we went to Africa and people had mud huts and they invite you in and it's squelching hot, like so hot, but they're so proud that you're sitting on their floor eating the food that they prepared. Like, no house is too small or the wrong size or whatever. You can use whatever. You can use whatever you have and be invitational and not eat alone. I think it's important.
So it's summertime. Great time to try this.
Great time. You sit outside.
Sit outside. That way you don't have to let people in.
Then you don't have to let people in your house.
But good time of year to try this. And so I love the idea of once a month. I think that's a neat way to just start, with some people you like, some food you love, and recover the dining room space in your life and in the relationships around you. It's good.
Yep. I think this is a good one to end on, because this is
the end of season
2, the end of the season. A great way to use summer would be recover the table in your life, in your home.
Absolutely.
Don't let it get taken away.
And thanks for joining us on this episode and this season. And we've got some exciting stuff that is in the works that we're planning on for season 3. Can't wait to be with y'all then.